the Bulls were they were in the whole league by themselves. It was the Chicago Bulls and everybody else.
Right.
You know, and just being around that culture, then watching them how they really professionally wise, but then enjoy just the cigar with Michael and Ron and all the guys. I was like, I'm gonna do this. That's how I got involved. Man.
They wasn't messing with you, like there was no hazing going. Like
it was like, oh, you fresh, you young,
fella.
I had to take it. I had to take that hit.
Right.
I had to take it. I was like, I didn't do it before at the time, but I took it.
Look,
I'm
Jim,
glad I did.
I've been there.
You know what I'm talking about. Inhaling, choking on it, trying to be cool with it.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Darnell Smith with the Players Company, and welcome to Players Day Off, the show where we sit down with athletes and have a real authentic conversation about their careers on and off the field.
About 20 students come run up to me after the games like, yo, you knocked them kids' lights out. So I was like, yeah, call me lights out. So in 2005, I went to the Pro Bowl. It was like one or two rookies down there in the Pro Bowl my rookie year. And during the Pro Bowl, you're not supposed to.
Wait, 2005?
2005.
I was in 5th grade.
2005.
Man, I'm old.
Man, I'm
I was in the 5th grade.
I'm 21 years old. I'm 21 years old, so I'm down there. And so Ray Lewis, I met Ray, his younger brother, Keon Lattimore, played running back at the University of Maryland, so I knew Ray. But my rookie year, when you go down there, you're not supposed to say your hotel room out loud. So we all down there by the pool, we chilling, having a good time. I'm drinking, and Ray's right here, and Mike Shanahan's here, and everybody's right here. And so the waitress come and ask me, what room you in? And right before I say what room, somebody kicked me under the table. Right? Somebody kicked me under the table, like, don't you, and I just said it. That room, 320, whatever it was. So I'm looking around, everybody, like, you could hear a pin drop. So I knew I made a mistake. I knew I messed up somewhere. So anyway, I got a extra bill on my room for $1,100, right? Whoa. Food liquor bill.
And that ain't even that much.
And that ain't even, right, it wasn't that much at all. But I was like, I know I ain't eat and drink $1,100 worth of stuff when I got the bill. So I came back down like the following day. So I'm sitting down there like borderline hurt, right? People, they put all this stuff in my room. So we sitting by the pool, and then Ray decides to go and try to, cheer me up, and he gave me a cigar. We started drinking. He gave me all, this is all appreciation, Rook, love, I'm sick because this $1,100, I'm not, spending on food and drinks.
Right.
So, he handed me a cigar, and I don't know what to do. So he cut it and this and do all this, and I'm sitting there smoking or whatever, and I inhale. I'm inhaling. He told me, and I'm sitting there coughing or whatever. He's sitting there telling me to, blow it out. So that was like my first time, smoking a cigar. And after that, I got into like Cohibas and different stuff or whatever. But at the time, I knew nothing about cigars.
What was your NFL or your NBA moment? Like, what was that time you were like, man, like, I'm really in the league? Like, welcome to the league moment. What was that like?
Mine is different, man.
Talk to me.
Because being drafted, I was 4th pick in 92, but I held out my rookie year. So I got the longest held out ever.
I was going to ask you about that.
Because the Mavericks didn't want to pay me market value. So I had to fight with that and listen to all the chatter why I should be in camp. And again, at the time, we didn't have a rookie salary cap, but it was all about market value. So 1st pick here, 2nd pick.
You get slotted.
You know what I mean? So they didn't want to pay me. So I'm the 4th pick, and I'm like, I'm not taking less than the 5th pick, but I'm not going to ask more than the 3rd pick, who was Tristan Leitner. So my moment got delayed big time. I didn't sign until like late February.
You only played with like 28 games. Yeah.
So the whole time I'm sitting there watching the league, and I'm watching Shaq and all the rookies play, but I'm thinking to myself, if I don't take a stance now, then it's going to affect me later in my career on the back end of my contract. 100%. So my moment got delayed. So when I got finally into the league, I get in, sign my deal with the Mavericks. My first game is against the Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler. Okay, I'm talking about Kenny Smith.
Right.
All these dudes, Otis Thorpe. That's my first game.
Dogs.
Vernon Maxwell.
Mario Ely.
Robert Horry still on that team?
Robert was on the team.
Man.
My boy Sam. So that's my first introduction to the league.
How'd you feel? Be real, man. You walked on that court.
Everybody, the difference is I didn't go through a training camp. I didn't go through preseason to kind of get a sense and feel what the league was about. I knew I could play, but I didn't get to be able to step my toe in the water to what it felt like to be on the court. So everything rushed at me. I'm getting in. I got to rush through practice, try to learn some plays, and then move, and then get ready to play. So my whole experience was surreal.
Right.
To finally get to the locker room, the game day drive, get there, in the locker room, you know, I had to break bread and break the ice with my teammates first of all.
Well, did they have something like against you when you got in because of the holdout? Or
they did, but they understood that, you know, he was holding out for what was right.
Yeah.
So they accepted me from that perspective, but still, they had already kind of grown together, especially. So I'm the new guy.
Right.
So not only I got to learn the game, I got to learn my teammates and the game.
Right.
So finally, you know, I'm routine. I don't have you know how you got a routine.
Yeah.
I didn't establish a
You
routine
missed
for the
2/3
game.
of the season.
Right,
You know what to do.
I didn't know what to do.
Right.
Okay, I'm walking in the locker room. I'm like, okay, so where do I park?
Right.
Where do I park? Where's
on
the
the
home
bench?
locker room? You know what I'm saying?
Basic stuff.
I mean, just basic. Okay, I got to get tape. I got to get this. All that stuff was brand new, and let alone I got to be ready to play the game. So then it's the thing. The Rockets in town. I finally get a chance to put on a uniform, and I get out there, and you know they introduce me, and it's like some booze because I held out. You know what I mean? And people don't understand why I did it. Then it's some cheers, but then it's like a surreal moment. Everything is moving fast. You know how it is when you first get in the league. It's like everything is moving fast, even though it's slow. But in your mind, it's just like, in basketball, it's just like this.
Yeah.
So I'm laying up, I'm warming up, I'm like, ooh, heart jittering. I'm like,
Was you missing them layups in the warm-up
no,
line?
I was making sure I made the layup. I was making sure I made the layup. But I don't know what to expect. What I'm expect. I know you end up hooping, but it's all brand new to me. But the real part was when I finally got in the game, and Akeem was right there. And I was like, oh, this is the league.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
this
always-
is, you know, the crowd is going off, the officials.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm in the league now. You know what I mean?
I'm in the league.
I'm in the league, you know, and against the Rockets. You know, and that moment was like, for a minute, it was a snapshot. It was moving fast, but then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I was like, all right, now it's time to play. But it took me a minute. I played okay, but it was just so much more involved than just the game for me. That it wasn't like a moment. It was like moments that got me to that point where it was a snapshot, like I'm on the court.
What about you, Shawne?
you know, it was a good experience, but it was bad. I held out too. For the same, I had a contract issue because of the injury clause. So I held out. You know, I came to camp, I think 2 or 3 weeks late. But get through camp, everything was good, but it didn't really hit me until the rookie dinner. That's when it hit for me, because we had a thing with our rookie dinners. The rookies had to take out all the vets. So if you was the first round draft pick, you had to if you were 4 years and up, you had to take out everybody. So I basically took out all the teams. You got Drew Brees, LaDainian Tomlinson, Lorenzo Neal, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates. I mean, you know, the list goes on. Keenan McCardell.
You spreading bread as a rookie.
32,000.
Oh, what?
On one bill?
32,000. I still to this day, I still hold the record for the biggest rookie dinner ever. I think Dez Bryant right behind me with 30. But after that, I had to cut it. But what hit
Dudes
me,
literally will call their wives or girlfriends and be like, "What you want? I'm gonna give me this to go."
But
no lie.
when I got there, I'm not used to spending money like that, right?
Right.
So Drew Brees sitting there ordering wines and stuff. So I don't know, these bottles of wines are $1,000.
A pop, right.
Louis XIII. I never even heard of that. I never even knew so I'm like, you know, I see him ordering 2 and 3 and 4 bottles. So I'm like, okay, cool, it's bottle of alcohol. I'm thinking, you know, $500, 300, you know. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So what you gonna say? Because you in there with LaDainian Thomas, Hall of Famer, possibly Philip Rivers, Hall of Fame. Antonio Gates, Hall of Fame. So you walking in there, what you gonna say? You're not gonna say anything. But it didn't hit me yet until I paid that bill, right? And I was sick. I'm talking about my stomach. They brought me in the back of the restaurant after all the bill and stuff was paid up. The owner of the restaurant brought me in the back and was like, Shawne, you might want to come back here. And I got my black card. I got a black card now. I got a black card.
I'm straight up. I wouldn't have paid that shit.
I'm telling. I got my black card.
Right.
And so everybody know I got money. And they know I can afford it, so I ain't want to be the cheap one and be like, I ain't paying, So you already coming to camp late, and everybody already looking at you like, oh, who he think he is by not coming in there.
So we really gonna get
it. Now you're not gonna pay?
And now you're not gonna pay.
Right, forget this dude.
So the last thing that I wanted to happen is that everybody looking like, oh, he that type of dude. So I paid it or whatever. But it didn't hit me until LT stood up. At the end, I paid the bill, I came on, I was sick. Right, I'm sitting. I started drinking in the back with the owner, because I'm like I couldn't stomach the fact that I'm spending $32,000 right now. So I came back out, and then LT stood up on the chair and told everybody to be quiet. He said, "Yo, I know this bill was a lot of money, but we gonna need this dude. Like he's gonna help. We gonna need him to come in and play." And so it was more of a respect thing, and it eased the pain.
Right.
It eased the pain of that $32,000 bill, because I'm looking at it like, this is LaDainian Tomlinson.
Right.
So like he's standing up and he kind of give me the stamp after, they seen me in practice a couple of weeks and they're like, okay, yeah, this gonna be the dude coming in. So that was when it hit me, where I was like, okay, I'm in the NFL. I'm LT vouching for me.
Right, that's big time.
It's big time. So that was my moment, man. I was like, okay, I officially made it.
TJ,
I don't even like my story compared to that. I mean, it's
Yo, welcome to the league, man. Was it a play, a practice? It can be practice, anything.
I think for me, it was, I get drafted to the Bengals, and the year before me, Peter Warrick was drafted. And so Peter Warrick, in my opinion, is the best college football player that I've ever seen. 100%. So that I've ever seen.
Tell you firsthand.
He's the best college football player that I ever seen. So that, for me, was getting drafted and like, damn, I'm about to be on the team with Dub. And so that would probably be one of them. And the other one would just be coming from nothing. The first time you get a check and it's thousands. Like the Bengals didn't have direct deposit. I think they were the only one of the few teams that did not. So literally, no lie.
The checks, right?
Yeah. You got a hard copy. We got it every Monday. I literally came home my rookie year with every single check. Didn't cash one of them. I lived off my training camp checks. I lived in a hotel my whole rookie season for free. Gave them 2 game tickets. Was in the Marriott. Didn't cash one check, bro.
Smart.
Got a free car.
Man.
Y'all was some smart rookies.
Yeah.
Man. A lot of guys will come in, they don't have to handle money. I probably would have did that.
Listen, I was a lot better than me. I was Big Meech.
You Big Meech.
Larry Hoover.
You had that big money. I want to start with you kind of, let's rewind a little bit. Your path to the league, to me, is fascinating. Just the whole, didn't graduate from high school.
Yeah.
Went to JUCO, transferred to Oregon State. Just that whole process, man. Talk to me just your mindset, what you was going through, man.
So growing up, I didn't play sports really, just recreational. Played every sport you can play. I played baseball, soccer, basketball, football, every sport. But it was really no direction. My mama she got 4 kids, and only one of them graduated from high school, and that's my youngest brother. I mean, time I was 13 years old, I was pretty much a grown man, doing whatever, hustling, doing whatever I wanted to do, coming home when I wanted to come home, go to school when I wanted to go. I was 13. And so playing football, I played my last year, my senior year in high school, that was it. I didn't like people telling me what to do. Never met my dad. And so discipline wasn't there. So you play football, you get them coaches. When we played, they want to cuss you out. So I had a Mexican coach, Coach Menarez, big dude, was a D tackle. He cussed us out, and I'm looking at him like, bro, what's up? And he was a D tackle, and he was straight up like, I'll beat your ass. Get your ass out of here. I'm out. So I would leave. And so that's why talking high school, I never played. My senior year, I realized if I want to play, I gotta have some type of discipline.
Yeah.
So I played. The problem is I missed my whole sophomore year of high school. I wasn't going in the streets. My senior year in high school, I played football. Grades came out. I wasn't eligible. So once grades came out, I couldn't play sports. I stopped going to school. So obviously I didn't graduate. Went to JUCO a year later. Didn't go right away. My best friend, still my best friend to this day, he was highly recruited, but he didn't pass the SAT. A way they try to keep us from succeeding, you know, systemic racism, but they didn't realize it at the time, but we do now. So he went to JUCO. We was always together. I was always at his house. He had his mom and his dad, grew up in a good family. So I was pretty much, I ended up getting a room at their house because it was stable and they was just cool. He came down, went JUCO. I went with him. He was a receiver. I was a running back in high school. Really? Yeah, I was a running back in high school.
Toting that rock. I ain't know that.
And so he broke his foot. His backup, cat from Compton, got arrested. I went to receiver. First play of the game of the season, I bombed somebody for like 70 yards. They was like, oh.
You're a receiver now.
Yeah. And so with me not graduating after my first year, the coach was like, you're probably going to get some offers. You should go get your GED. Because go JUCO, you don't need anything. If you take the assessment test, if you score high enough, you're good, which I had to take. But I went and got my GED after my first year. Went to Oregon State, and yeah.
One thing I want to ask you real quick, because you just kind of touched on it, on how you got your nickname Lights Out.
So my sophomore year in high school, I knocked out four guys, four kids in one game, right? We were playing a team called Fort Meade. They were military school. So we came, it was three guys in the first half, and then we had three guys in the first half, one in the second half.
Who pissed you off before the game?
No, so what happened was they came up there, it's military school, they came up there all militant and talking, and I said, yo, listen, y'all just stepped in something crazy because I'm about to go off, right?
Right.
So the fullback came up, and I played middle linebacker at the time. I never even rushed it. I don't even know what a pass rush is. I never even got a sack until I got in college. I didn't know how to pass rush. I played middle. The fullback came leading up on me. Boom, I popped and broke his collarbone and knocked him out. He went out the game. So anyway, I knocked out the four guys in the game. The game was over. About 20 students come running up to me after the game. It's like, yo, you knocked them kids' lights out. So I'm like, yeah, call me Lights Out.
That's smart. Hey, it changed your life in a sense. I mean, you still to this day. That's crazy, man.
So I swear. So the game, we played on Saturday. So the game, I got to school on Monday. So I'm walking around school and everybody, yo, what's up, Lights? Right, so it caught on. So I'm like, oh man, this is crazy, right? Yeah. So I go and I convince my mother to get me this Lights Out tattoo on my forearm. Yeah. She's like, boy, I ain't get you no tattoo. We ain't had no money either. So she's like, yeah, I got to pay $75 for this tattoo.
Yeah.
So I go out and I can finally convince my mother to let me get this Lights Out tattoo. Because in my head, I was like, yo, this is going to be, that day in school on Monday, I knew it was going to be something. I was like, yeah, it's too much, right?
That's 4 people.
So I got this Lights Out tattoo on my forearm. So then my freshman year at Maryland, against Georgia Tech. First game we was on ESPN. So I wasn't starting. I came off the bench. So we play cover 4. I'm dropping in the flats. Watkins, the wide receiver, come running across on the over route. I drop back. Boom! Right? I got up and I started to flick the switch.
How you do it? I can't remember how you did it.
I'm talking about I didn't do all that at first.
Okay, so what you did?
I was just doing it because I was scared.
Simple. Okay.
Because I was shook. You can't celebrate stuff in college. So I gave him a little this, right?
Okay.
And it's still on YouTube, the very first one.
Yeah.
The crowd got loud, and then that's when I got excited, and then that's when I started.
You started hitting that.
I didn't, that wasn't playing. I just was flicking lights, but the crowd had got me so pumped up. Mm-hmm. I started jumping with it.
Caught the Holy Ghost on the field, didn't
man. Friedgen, the head coach, I got over the sideline. He yanked me out the game. He said, if you ever do that again, you'll never play again, right? So I go down, I'm tucking my head between my legs, I'm going down the sidelines, and then everybody smacking me on the helmet, smacking me on my ass, like, yo, what was that? I said, yeah, that's a Lights Out day.
I love it. It's coming back. Forget what Coach said. Yeah, it's coming back. Hey, right. I love that.
So that's how that whole thing was born with Lights Out, man, because it was almost like playing the rucker, man, where you have to earn your nickname. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you couldn't have this whole persona and this whole thing with people calling you Lights Out. You got to go out there and try to take heads off. Because now you constantly, every day, you trying to live up to what people are expecting you to be. So I just became, man, I was just hitting it. That's all I wanted to do. I got into football because that's all I want. I told my mother when I was 11 years old, I said, I want to play football. She said, why? I said, so I can hit somebody and not go to jail. This was my mentality at 11 years old. Because football is the only sport
Legally.
where you can legally do anything you want to anybody and get away with it. Because when I grew up, we didn't have anything. We were poor. We lived in shelters, lived in cars. So I had this chip on my shoulder where I was, So it was like my only outlet to getting all this shit off my shoulders.
Yeah.
So like that was my 2 hours to get away from it all, man. And then from that point on, like that just became my personality, how I approached and played the game.
Talk about, just your experience, playing ball at O State, man.
I never wanted to go.
What? What you mean?
You ain't want to stay home.
No, it wasn't that. It was that at the time, Ohio State wasn't a national powerhouse in basketball. So at the time when I came out, I was fortunate, bro, because I'm from a small city, Toledo, Ohio.
Right, yeah.
So it wasn't New York, Chicago, LA, DC, Philly back in the day. And those were the ones that were getting a lot of the exposure. So my freshman year, I'm like, I'm gonna be one of those guys one day. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but the dudes I grew up with in my neighborhood, they taught me certain lessons, and we all been through this. They taught me and they was in the game, they did stuff, but they taught me certain lessons about integrity, hard work, respecting people, your elders, but also respecting your teammates. And if you really want to be good, what are you going to do when nobody else is watching? You know what I mean? So as I trekked through, I ended up being, now Shaquille O'Neal was in our class. Kenny Anderson was the #1 player. I was #2 coming out of high school. Okay? But Shaquille wasn't because he was in Texas and he couldn't go to, like, at the time, if you were a Texas basketball player, you couldn't go to Nike, 5-star. You couldn't go to these camps. So they heard of Shaquille,
But they ain't really know.
but they didn't see him until we played into the All-Star games after the year was over.
Right.
So Ohio State never was in I was always a Big East basketball fan.
Right.
Okay? Syracuse was like
Providence was pretty good too.
Georgetown, St. John's, you know what I mean? UConn. That's Syracuse. So Kenny Anderson and I talked about going to school together, going to Syracuse. We took our visit together. Derek Coleman was my
DC.
guy because Detroit, I grew up 45 minutes an hour from Detroit. So growing up in high school, I used to go to Detroit and play ball all the time on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I got to know DC. He was my guy when I went on my visit to Syracuse. That's where that was like it.
So what made you end up going to Ohio State then?
I was blessed to have older black men in my life outside of my father that took care of me. Took care of me. Showed me, one was the city athletic director, Ed Scrutches. One was I had a dean of students at the University of Toledo, which was Calvin Lawsey. Pete Culp was economic development director for the city of Toledo. Right. Okay? So I had black men that were in control of a lot of things. Mr. Scrutchins, who was head of the city, would pick me and his son up and take us to different places to go play, open up the gyms for us. So what I learned was, they said, listen, you can go to Syracuse. North Carolina was one of the schools I wanted to go to. Georgetown was ahead of Ohio State. You can go there and maybe have a great career. But the impact you'll have by going to Ohio State as one of the top players, not just in Ohio, but in the country, and winning would be long lasting. At 18, I knew what it meant, but I didn't know. But I trusted what they were saying. And then Gary Williams, who ended up going to Maryland and eventually ended up winning a national championship, he was the head coach at Ohio State. And he started recruiting McDonald All-Americans to Ohio State. Treg Lee, Perry Carter, who was from DC, Mark Baker, who was from Dayton. You saw a shift in Ohio State. And I said, well,
Trending up, yeah.
if I could be a part of that, it could be something special. I didn't know what special was. And plus I was from Ohio. Right. So when I made the decision, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. and not just from a basketball perspective, but from an alumni and reach because of
How big the school
how
is.
big the school is.
Yeah.
But I never, in my mind,
At 18, you're not thinking like
but I never thought about Ohio State as a powerhouse. We didn't win a Big Ten title since '72. We won back-to-back my sophomore, junior year. We were number 2 in the country my sophomore year.
Yeah.
So to kind of be a part of that, I didn't know.
Right.
But I knew it could be something special. But if it wasn't for the guys, my boy Stephen Corrigan, Bubby, who took care of me since I was in like 7th to 8th grade, all those little lessons like you talked about, and I know you got stories.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in the neighborhood. Again, I'm from a small town, so
You're the reason a guy like Michael Redd goes to Ohio State, though.
Exactly. And for me, and I say I was a LeBron before LeBron. I don't say that. People say that.
Hey, man, hey.
Because I
Just
was
because of the size.
because I was
You was that
6'5",
dude, Joe. I did my
6'6",
research.
playing point guard. I played point guard my freshman year in high school. I started my freshman year in high school. Okay? Averaging about 16. Then it grew from there. So it was different.
Yeah.
You know, at the time to see a guy at my size
This big.
playing point guard. And I would never change the way I grew up or where I grew up because those lessons like you, I learned. It wasn't some suburban fantasy. It was grinding it out and doing things that other people didn't want to do.
Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit here. So, as you guys watch, you all are vets, had great careers in your respective sports. Looking at the leagues today, NBA and NFL, how do you feel about the new generation? I mean, a lot of people, you know, I'm a millennial myself. A lot of people, you know, say we're the soft generation, or you know, the players in the league and both leagues are kind of softer now. How do y'all feel as vets about today's game and just in both sports?
The guys in both sports.
Yeah.
It comes up, they come up differently than we came up. He came up, what'd he just say?
Yeah.
I want to knock somebody out.
Right.
The guys that are coming up now, they know you can't knock anyone out. So in the football realm,
rules, yeah.
you already know coming up, the game is completely different. There was no social media when I played. Twitter started.
MySpace.
Yeah, but instant social media.
Yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
started, I believe, in 07, but I was always a guy, like I talk shit, but I was never on social media. Guys are coming out of high school now famous.
With brands.
So they're building brands in high school where when we were playing, that was rare unless you had that type of platform. And for the most part, that's only basketball guys that really get. Now it's football guys. Guys are looking at the big picture of where I can possibly take this. And I wouldn't say the game is for sure changed.
Right.
But it's not soft because that's how they're being taught to play it at an earlier age. And
got
so,
no choice.
yeah, it's soft compared to us,
Yeah.
but that's what they're taught.
It's not the guy. It's more so just the game.
It's the game has completely changed. I mean, the NBA. I mean,
Can't
they
hand
review,
check, can't-
oh, is this a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2?
You will flick somebody on
like,
the arm and get ejected.
If I foul you hard because I don't want you to get an and 1, how is this a flagrant 1? I'm trying not to let you get. So the game is completely changed in both sports, and it's changed because of the rules, and you either adjust or you ain't gonna play. It's simple.
Nah, that's fine.
And the thing is too, I always hated when you had an older guy. Like I never wanted to be the old hater.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
y'all so soft.
Y'all soft.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we wore
was
leather
knocking boys
helmets.
out.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, cause like I feel like I'm a tweener, right? I'm 36, so I feel like I'm in a tweener. Like I have the millennial part of it, cause I was on social media early. Like, I don't know if you remember back then when Twitter and all that first came out, we couldn't tweet 20 or 30 minutes before or after
you
the
do what
meeting.
you want now.
Oh man.
Like you have rules where you couldn't tweet 2 or 3 out before a game.
Yeah.
You couldn't tweet before and after team
You
meetings.
couldn't do nothing after.
You couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So like when I see Antonio Brown and all these like doing live in the what?
Juju in there.
They would literally fine you.
You get
They
fined.
would fine you.
You
Yeah.
get fined if you back when it came out. You get fined for doing stuff like that then. So I hate to see like when the old guy come in like, oh yeah, y'all saw back then we used to take you out. I'm like, okay, the game's changed. They made these rules. So it's not like guys soft. They would do it if they could.
Mm-hmm.
You think a guy wouldn't go helmet to helmet if he had a chance to knock somebody? He'll do it in a second. But the rules are causing you, like TJ said, it's causing you to change up what you're doing. Like how I was taught to play football was to knock you out. You got applauded for it.
It probably would have been hard for you to play. I mean, today's game.
If you just make a tackle back then, you were soft.
Right.
If you just tackle a guy and wrap him up, you were soft.
Every hit had to be a hit. Yeah. Had to be a lights out.
Or or a guy go out of bounds when he, you know what I'm saying, he run the ball and he go out of bounds.
Oh.
Like, you know, you looking like, oh, dude, that dude's soft, right? That's where we came from.
That's a business decision.
Right,
now.
But see now, you get smarter and you start understanding, like, okay, why take those extra hits and you don't got to? But back then, growing up, it was like that was soft. So I'm like in between where I was like, okay, I'm not young enough where I'm like Juju and you dancing in the locker room and like I still don't get the dancing thing, right?
You don't like the dancing?
I don't like that. Like I was watching the Broncos game the other day, and you got the rookie wide receiver. They down. Right. No, actually they tied 10-10 with the Jets, who are the worst team in the NFL, and they dancing. And I'm like, yo.
You got to have some type of hunger in you that
something.
Dancing is the last thing come to your mind. Like you.
Last thing.
But hold on real quick. Not to change gears too much. Obviously, your friend, your teammate, Ocho Cinco. Yeah. Dog on the field, one of the best receivers, at least since I've been alive, who I watched. He got a celebration every single moment he scored a touchdown. Did that didn't bother you?
Chad loves attention.
Right.
And he was thinking about life after football before a lot of people was thinking about life after football.
In my opinion, he was before his time.
But I don't even think Chad was really thinking about life after football, but he was, if that makes any sense. I don't think he thought, I'm still going to be big as I am now, as when I was playing. I don't think he thought that would happen, but he thought about that. And so, I mean, he literally be like, T, if I score tomorrow, I'm thinking about doing this. What you think? Or about this. Like, he would literally sit there and think about it. Or his brother would give him ideas to celebrate. Hey, I think when you score, grab the pylon and act like you putting up. Like, he would rehearse it. And so,
that's what guys are doing now.
But Chad, him, T.O., Steve Smith, back when they was doing it, you got home, even after you played the game. So you just finished having the game, you'll get home to watch their highlights.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I did. I was a kid.
I think T.O., he was a trailblazer for that. Mm-hmm. Once he pulled that Sharpie out.
And signed the ball.
I think everybody said to themselves,
okay.
Aha. I think it was an aha moment for guys. 100%. Once he did that, T.O. was a trailblazer. And I know Chad looked up to T.O.
Yeah.
And so it was, T.O.'s a little older than Chad, but they were still in the same era somewhat. They overlapped.
Right.
And T.O. was a guy, because Randy Moss, he wasn't as flamboyant as T.O.
Right.
And it could be, T.O. played with the 49ers. They were good. He played with Jerry Rice. But yeah, T.O. was a trailblazer, in my opinion, of receivers kind of getting out there having fun.
Nah, for sure. Hey, one thing you just brought up, both of you guys brought up, was social media. You didn't really have social media.
Dumb.
You got the back end of it. You didn't have social media at all. Be real. Keep it all the way 1,000 with me. Because y'all have played young Shawne, young Jim, young TJ, during the social media area.
Social media came out in the middle of my career. Twitter started in the middle of my career.
But it was different. I'm talking the way it is today.
Instagram started when I was playing. I just never got on it because I was like, I don't want this. And now that I'm on it, I'm like, damn, I actually do want this. I should have done it. I mean, I was dumb. Yes. If you have your priorities straight, you can do it.
But listen.
Even if you don't have your priorities straight, you can do it. You're just gonna have more fun.
One last thing I want to talk about from this specific discussion is the transition from playing in the league to the real world. I know me, I didn't make it to the NFL. That was my dream. Had an injury, whatever. Even if I didn't get hurt, the chance of me making it was kind of slim to none. But I know when my football career was done at Ball State, and it was like, you're about to graduate from school, and you got to find a job, and it's the real world. And I'm sitting there like, damn, like, what am I about to do? My grades were good. That was never an issue, but let's be real. When you're playing in your sport, that's your focus. Everybody thinks they're going to make it to the league. That's what they're spending their time doing. So when I hit the real world, man, it was a tough transition. And in hindsight, I would even say I probably dealt with a tiny bit of depression for a little bit, just not knowing. I want to know, with you guys, you deal with injuries, you deal with a bad ankle injury that kind of changed your, I mean, how was that transition?
I'll tell anybody that the first year or two when you're done playing is the hardest. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you went through it or not, but I sure as hell went through it. And And I had stuff lined up. I went right into doing network stuff, into NFL Network. I was.
Oh, you already knew what you was going to do.
Yeah, no, I was ready to go, but it was mentally and emotionally, you had to detach yourself away from the game. Like, I went through a short period of time where I didn't even want to watch football. Like, I was going up.
No lie, I did the same shit.
Yo,
no lie, you don't even want to watch it.
I'm telling you, I was up on NFL Network and breaking down games, and I literally only watched just enough to talk about it because I didn't even want to watch it. Because I was going through this point, you feel like a little bit in the sense that maybe you should still be playing, or you see some dude out there, you like, yo, I'm better than he is right now off the couch, right? Like, without stretching, I can get up right now and do what he's doing right now. And so I had to mentally and emotionally detach myself from the game. And that point of depression kicked in where it was like, yo, that's it, right? Because you go from playing high school, you go to college, you go to the league, and then somebody at the end of the day tell you when you done, and there's no other level. That's it.
Exactly. That's the main thing. There was always like a next thing. It's like, I'm in high school, bet, going to college. College, bet, going to the league. League, oh, okay, it's over. It was like, who am I now? Like in a sense, like, I feel like you kind of, sometimes you tie your identity to the sport.
You 100%. You gotta find out who you are without the game, right? Because people, it's so funny when somebody think that you're not doing anything right anymore because you're not playing football, you're not playing basketball. It's like, yo, I'm actually doing more now than I was, but because everybody identify you as a football
It's for sure
player.
more work.
It's more work. I'm doing more now than I did when I played. I'm in control of it. And for what Jim just said, that's why I stopped playing, because I felt like I'm not gonna come back to a veteran minimum anymore. Whatever that 1.2 or whatever it was after taxes, 800,000-900,000. And I'm like, I got a better shot because I got no ceiling on what I can do now. My mindset was there, but it still took me some time to get away from the game because I was so attached to it, so emotional, that I didn't even want to watch it. It was the most disgusting. I mean, I don't know if you went through it, bro, but I went through a point where
Now that you said, like, I was like, I ain't watching this shit. Like and I don't know why, and I don't think I was depressed, but I think anyone that plays for a period of time, whether it's high school to college, now that you said it, there is a little bit of,
like in hindsight, it's
a little depression that comes along with it. And I'm not an emotional person. I don't show emotion. And that's just because how I was raised. But when I think about it, like once I retired, I still watched it, but it was just like, oh, I don't really give a damn what's going on. I wasn't reading as much as I normally read. And I could have still played. Like I got calls to play in training camp, but they were sorry teams. And I didn't want to play on a sorry team, but a good team, and they don't need me. That's why they're good. And so I'm different than Shawne. I would have played for league minimum because I just love the game. I didn't care about the money because at that time I had enough. I had enough for me. I always could do, but I had enough to live. And so when I was done, I ain't do nothing.
Only certain amount of dudes can get out the league and say, you know what, I'm done because I want to be. Either we're forced out or injuries have us leave. Peyton Manning, as great as he was, he still needed to play and felt he needed to accomplish something in Denver. No matter what success he had before that. Because of that injury, he felt he still left something on the table. Kobe Bryant. His injury was Achilles. No matter what he accomplished up to that point, he felt he had to accomplish something before he left. Something was on the table. These are millennial type of players that changed the game. And they still have problems retiring, let alone somebody like me. So yeah, you deal with what could have been. But I think because of my career path and what I went through, all the BS and all the changes, but when I retired, I was like, I'm already doing something. I'm gonna figure it out, whatever it is. Did I miss the game? I missed it. I missed the camaraderie in the team sport. You miss the camaraderie, hanging out with guys on the plane, hanging.
You missed that
in the locker
we
room.
going low today, Daddy. Like you missed that.
Yeah.
But the camaraderie and the team.
Yes.
And nothing like it.
Yeah.
No one understands they play.
So as I transitioned, I got into broadcasting in 07, the year after. Not that I wanted to, it just kind of happened. but I was already doing other business stuff at the time. So my mentality never allowed me to think about the depression part of not playing, because I dealt with that while I was playing.
Because you got hurt so
Because
early.
I got hurt so early and I had to deal with all this other stuff of not being who I really was as a player. So I started to transition early in my career. Did it hurt? Was it painful? Man, please. Not being the dude you wanted to be or thought you could be? Yeah. We can all deal with success. But how do you deal with the disappointments that come along that don't derail you? We all have our moments when we're disappointed and we're down. But how long does it take you to snap out of that, regroup, recover, and say, you know, I got to handle my business? It's bigger than this. Some people get stuck in it. Some people are able to transition out of it. And I was blessed to have those people around me that gave me the vision to be able to move on and say, and plus I'm a leader, so not a lot affect me. I'm low key, I'm like, whatever happened. I'm like, it ain't that bad, it ain't that great. I'm even keel. So when stuff go wrong, I'm like, you know what, I'm just got to deal with it. It is what it is.
Figure it out.
I just figure it out. When it's great, it's great, but okay.
It ain't that great.
It ain't that great.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
It ain't that bad.
And it ain't that. So that helped me transition to, you know, where I'm at today, and especially after I got done playing.
We appreciate y'all for coming in. We had a great discussion, great time, and yeah, man, let's do it again down the road.
Yeah.
Always.
Man.